we'll be like discussing about what is the outlier, how can we like detect outliers through different methods. So imagine you are a transaction auditor in a credit card company. So to protect your customers from credit card fraud, you have to pay special attention so that you are able to find out some different cases from a normal typical case. For example, if a purchase amount is much bigger than the usual for a particular credit card owner, and if the purchase occurs far from the owner's residence city or a country, then the particular purchase is really suspicious. You want to detect such transactions as soon as they occur and contact the card owner for verification. So this is a very common practice in most of the banks and credit card companies. So most credit card transactions are normal, but however, if a credit card is stolen, if a transaction pattern usually changes dramatically, and the location of the purchase or the items which is being purchased, and the amount of purchase, everything. So an essential idea behind a credit card fraud transaction is to identify those transactions that are very different from the normal one. So outliers, otherwise called as anomalies. Okay, so this outlier detection or anomaly detection is a process of finding the data objects with behaviors which are like completely different from what is being expected. So these anomalies are completely different from what is expected. So this objects are called as outliers or anomalies. So this outlier detection is very, very important, and it's been used in various areas like fraud detection in medical care, public safety and security, industrial damage, image processing. I mean, so that you're able to like diagnose the disease, in surveillance, in when you like monitor CCTV camera footage, and many more. So most of the time, this outlier detection and clustering goes hand in hand because that most of the time this people apply clustering technologies or Gaussian distribution method to organize your data to so that you can like find out the outliers. Okay, so let's get into the concepts. So as I told you, an outlier is actually nothing but an object which kind of like deviates completely from your normal objects. Okay, so if it is like most of the time it looks like it has been completely generated from a different mechanism. For example, I told you I was talking about a complete unusual credit card purchase, right, which is happening in a different place at a different point of time. So it's obviously it's going to be a credit card purchase, and when you see the records of Michael Jordan or very famous cricketers with very good scores, so probably their scores and their goals definitely going to look like an outlier when you compare with the rest of the people, right? So, but you cannot like compare your outlier with noise. And because noise is actually a random error which happens in your variable, whereas like outliers are like completely different because it is a real variable measure, whereas noise is not, and noise should be like removed from your data, but outliers should not be. Okay, so it just like it is like it is kind of away from your general data. You should not be like removing it um, when you just want to like have a particular perfect data model. Okay, so first it's not like you so then what is the real use of like detecting it when you're going to just have it in the model, but still you have to like detect it and then understand okay there is an outlier, and but then you can like include it to the model, but so that you'll be able to know that this kind of conditions may occur. Okay, so as I've been told, it's been like applied in a lot many areas from insurance, BFSI to pharmaceutical and medical analysis. Okay, so the different types of outliers available. So I mean, majorly three different types: global, contextual, and collective outliers. So global outlier is just an anomaly at one point, which is kind of completely deviating from the whole data. Okay, so we can just like have the credit card transfer, fraudulent credit card transaction, or intrusion in your computer networks. I mean, which happens really only once. It's just one point. Okay, it's a global outlier. Okay, I mean, in a contextual outlier, it deviates significantly from a particular context. For example, we can just take a temperature. We always know the temperatures will be like from 15 degrees to you know 40 degrees Celsius in India. Okay, so but maybe we might be having 0 degree Celsius in Himalayas during winter. So we can't just say when the temperature is recorded, 0 degrees, maybe in the hill stations in the winter, we can't just consider that an outlier because it sometimes it happens. It might like happen. The temperature due to global warming, it can happen. Okay, so based on the context, we have to look into that. So if you are able to like record a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius in Chennai on the summer, so here you can't just say that is an outlier. So it's actually real, something is like not recorded properly. So but when you're able to like find this out, or usually in Uti the during the winter, uh, the temperature will be from -5 to like plus 15 degrees Celsius. But just maybe this year we had 25 degrees Celsius. So maybe yeah. So here this is an example of contextual outlier. I hope you're able to like understand these attributes here. So based on the time, location, or climate, and many other things, you can able to like find out an outlier based on the context. It is called as a context outlier. Okay, so maybe usually this happens. And third one is a collective outlier. So collective outlier is it's actually a group of data objects which is kind of deviating completely from the whole data set. Okay, so sometimes it is not like you can call that as an outlier, but when it happens like when your data is completely different from the rest of them, and a set of data is completely different from the rest of them, you can call that as a contextual outliers. So maybe in credit card fraud detection, in addition to global outliers, maybe an analyst may be able to consider outliers in different contexts. Consider customers who are like use more than 90% of the credit limit. In such, one customer is viewed as belonging of the group of the customers with low credit limits. Then such behavior may not be considered as an outlier, but it's a similar behavior of the customers from a high income group may be considered outliers if the balance often exceeds the credit limit. So this outliers may lead to like business opportunities so that you'll be able to like predict a limit raise so that such customers can be like able to bring more revenue for the companies. Okay, so this quality of this collective outliers are like happens in various areas in a departmental store and in the computer networks intrusion detection in many other areas. So most of the time you can't just say okay your data set has a global outlier. So in that case I may not have a collective outlier. It is not the case. You might have a global outlier as well as a collective outlier in your data along with the contextual outlier. Okay, so it can have a multiple types of outliers. Moreover, an object may belong to more than one type of outlier as well. Okay, so in business, different outliers may be used in various applications for different purposes. Global outlier detection is it's like very simple, and context outlier detection requires some background information, the business knowledge to determine whether it is a context attribute or not. And collective outlier reduction requires background information to model the relationship among the objects to find the groups of outliers. Right? So, what are the real challenges of this outlier detection? You know, so, you should be able to like um, do some modeling of this normal objects and outliers properly. So we really do not know what are the normal variables and outliers. Sometimes we cannot able to like understand that. right? Sometimes it is like not clear cut. Instead, there can be wide range of gray area. So while some of the outlier detection methods assign to each of the object in the input data set a label of either normal or outlier, other methods assign to each object a score measuring the outlierness of the object. So though we have like very good models to say that one model will be able to classify normal object as an outlier and other way around. Okay, sometimes it is a very good challenge that everybody is facing. So next one is application specific outlier detection. So choice of distance measure among the objects. So it is like completely different scenario based on the the context here. For example, when you're using medical data, so a small division deviation can be called as an outlier. Okay, so for example, you have you're trying to measure hemoglobin, and then anybody who's like having less than 10 count is considered as an outlier, whereas like so 12 is considered normal, but 10 is considered low. So just the deviation of 2 is considered less and good, right? But in case of marketing and sales data, I mean these numbers are like it's not uh, creating much difference. So the larger fluctuations are allowed, right? So based on the distance, based on the numbers and relationship, it happens. So handling noise in your outlet detection. So we really do not know whether you are like looking at a noise or outlier. It is like very difficult to find out the difference and understandability. So we really don't know why these outliers are occurring and what's happening and why is it happening. So it is like very difficult to know that. So a user may want to know not only to detect outliers, but also to understand this, right? So for example, a statistical method can be used to justify the degree to which an object may be an outlier based on the likelihood that the object was generated by the same mechanism that was generated by the majority of the data. So it's been done the same way, why it is like kind of being different. The smaller the likelihood, the more likely the object was generated with the same mechanism, and more likely the object is an outlier. Okay, so we are found out that there are like 4 major challenges this outlier detection methods are like kind of facing. So let's see these methods. So there are 2 approaches for outlier detection methods. So in 2 ways you can categorize this. So first one is like whether the examples are like having a user labeled one, and next one is based on the assumption of the normal data and the outliers. So based on you can like classify identify outliers based on supervised, semi-supervised and unsupervised methods, and based on the normal data and outliers assumption you can like work on statistical proximity based and clustering based methods. The first will be like looking out the first category, supervised, semi-supervised, and unsupervised methods based on user labeled examples. Okay, the first one, it's actually it's kind of a classification problem where you're like trying to find whether that particular sample is an outlier or not. Okay, so here we should have a training set and test set. So most of the times you have a repository of normal data sample, and if anything is kind of little deviating from that from your training set, you can classify that as a non-normal or an outlier. But imagine you have a data set of only the outliers, and then if you're like trying to not match the model as normal, I mean that kind of not happen well. So if you, what if you have an imbalanced class, for example, because what if you don't have an outlier at all? So you will be like get into trouble here. So you will not be able to like um, give good results. So you have to like look into the recall here and not an accuracy. Okay. And next one is like based on unsupervised method. So here you'll be using clustering. So as I told you, most of the times outlier reduction is done based on clustering methods. So you'll be able to like, you cluster your data into different groups, and then you'll be able to like collect, identify few non-normal objects which are like kind of not able to like, fell into a group. So that you can call that as an outlier. But imagine you have a collective outliers. A group of data objects in your data set are outliers. So they'll just like, go together and form into a cluster, right? So here, this method is not suitable for collective outliers. Okay. But if you have a context outlier or a global outlier, this method works very well. So so you can just like use when there is a virus detection or a computer intrusion. Yes, you can, when it is a global outlier, you can definitely go for this. Okay. But here you cannot be able to like identify noise from the outliers. That's one of the major problem. And here it's kind of a little costlier method because you're first clustering, because far less outliers are there in the normal objects, right? So you might be like forced to form clusters with different nature. Next one is like semi-supervised method. It's like it's based on the nature of the semi-supervised methodology. So if you have a few objects which labeled as normal, and then you have like a few unlabeled objects as well as normal, and then you can be able to like create a model. And something whatever that is not fitting into this cluster, you can call that as an outlier. So if only like some labeled outliers are available, and small number of labeled outliers may not cover this outliers at all. Okay, so here we have to like have to go for a unsupervised method clustering, so that we'll be able to like do a good one. So we'll be like moving to the next category of classific methods, which is statistical methods, proximity based methods, and clustering based methods. Okay, outlying detection methods like it make assumptions about the outliers with rest of the data. According to the assumptions made, so these three types has been like formulated. The statistical methods is also known as a model-based methods. Okay, so it actually uses a stochastic model, especially a Gaussian distribution to model the normal data. Okay, so here the data points are like expected to fit into a Gaussian distribution and in a particular region, but the data objects which are not fitting it out, you can like call that as an outliers. Okay, so when your g of y is kind of very low, you can on y is unlikely generated by the Gaussian model as an outlier. Okay, so when your g of y is kind of like estimate is like kind of good for each of the objects, so it should be like fitting your Gaussian distribution. So most of the times this model based methods are like it actually depends completely on the model, which and then and there are like different types of statistical models are available, like parametric methods, non-parametric methods. So you'll be like using normal distribution method, and then multivariate outlier reduction methods, and and then under non-parametric will be uh, try to like uh, do a histogram or a box plot, and then try to figure that out. Okay, next one is proximity based method. So it actually follows the method of nearest neighbors. So here they're like trying to figure out if their nearest neighbor is kind of very far away, you can consider that particular object as an outlier. Okay, so here you'll be like mostly using number three as n here. So you'll be like trying to like model the proximity, and then if you're trying to find out if the objects in a particular region is kind of different from the rest of the objects, so you can call that as a outlier. So in this example here, when you're just trying to find out the nearest neighbor for these two objects, it definitely is going to be different from the rest of them. The distance is going to be really high, so you can really classify them as an outlier. So it is like this method is kind of completely based on its effectiveness for the you know um, the nearest neighbor proximity methods. But sometimes obtaining this distance measure is very difficult in especially in case of multivariate data, because it consumes too much of computing power. So here you can just like work on two different types, distance based and density based. Third one is clustering based methods. So usually this is similar to your unsupervised methods in the previous classification. So here most of the times, the clusters will be like, very big and have too many, data points with that. But the clusters with very less data points, or kind of little far away and sparse, we can call that as a cluster with outliers. Okay. So all the points, this outlier cluster will not be like in a very big. Most of it is very small cluster because it is an outlier. So even if we are having a collective outliers, we can able to like figure it out most of the times, because the characteristics will be a little different from the rest of them. So there are like various methods in the clustering outlier detection. So also as of now, just like understand, okay, this is how it happens. Okay, so we just discussed about three different detection methodologies in statistical approach. Earlier we just discussed what is outlier, and what the challenges, types. Okay, so if you got any questions, maybe you can ask right now.